Welcome, everyone, to another Planetary Gig Talk podcast. I'm Jefferson Glassy, your host, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace and harmony, coherence, and a better world, the best we can. And I have to say, I'm really pretty excited and even proud, too, today, because this is the 150th Planetary Gig Talk podcast, and I could not really be happier to be able to have the opportunity to talk with amazing musician, amazing human person, full of insight, full of all kinds of good stuff, the Hands of Soul, Joseph Wooten. Thank you so much for joining today, Joseph.
It's my pleasure to be here, Jefferson. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Never been happier in my life.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
that's an important stat.
Yeah. So just a tad bit of the background on this is um, I've sort of been focusing on peace and what do you do about peace? You know, how do we make a better world? And I don't have a very big platform, and I was a lawyer, but when I read Victor's book, The Music Lesson, in probably 2016, 2015 maybe,
Okay.
probably 2015, that just showed me, man, music is a path to peace. And so I thought this is something we can do, and we started Planetary Gig Society actually in 2016, so it's 10 years old too. And I knew I wanted to talk with Victor, but I didn't know anything about a podcast. So I just started figuring it out and interviewed my guitar teacher first, and then another friend and another friend. And Victor, when I saw him after a show, and he said, "Sure, I'll do a podcast. Let's figure out the time." Well, there wasn't really a time. It was very difficult. So I realized I needed to go to Wooten Woods. I needed to go where he was. And in 2018, I interviewed Victor there at Wooten Woods, and it was the 50th podcast that I had done. And then that opened so many doors, just being at Wooten Woods and all that. So many doors, so many people. I also interviewed later Bob Heminger and Dave Welsh and Michael. And I mean, it just amazing. And then I was at Spirit of Music Camp again in the next year, 2019, and Roy was there. And so I said, "Hey, would you mind doing this? Is going to be the 100th." So your brother Roy was the 100th. And as I was coming up on this one, and I was going a little faster in the beginning, but as I was coming up on 150, I just thought, well, this is something I just have to ask Joseph if he could do this. He's the numbers guy. He makes sense of all things, and so it's really special in that regard. And I'm so thankful for Victor and Roy and you and Reggie and all that you put out there, the doors that have been opened, the insights, the knowledge. So I really am appreciative.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Let's jump in.
Yeah. So, I always like to ask the guests, how did music come into your life? When did music tap you on the shoulder? And of course, we know a lot about the Wooten brothers' history, and I've heard Victor talk about, getting a little bass or ukulele or something in his hands when he was one or two. But I don't remember if I've heard your specific story, like what age were you, and did you start off with keyboards, or were you banging on things with Roy, or what was the story of how you uh, came to music, how music came to you?
Victor is the youngest. I'm second to the youngest. Rudy, Roy, and Reggie are 3, 4, and 5 years older. Now, Rudy's our late brother that used to blow saxophone. But they grew up that close because they're like Reggie and Roy are 10 days inside of a year. They're the same age for 10 days. They're
Wow.
born so close together. And Rudy was only 13 months after that. So they were raised really close. And they started playing music on their own. They were very musical, beating on things and biting down on the end of straws to make a reed out of it. And then Rudy realized if he cut holes in the top of the straw, he could make notes, and then he realized if he put a straw inside of a straw,
Yeah.
he could. And so they were very musical before they were musicians. When we moved to Hawaii in 1960, Victor was born in 64, so we
Your dad
probably
was in the
moved.
service.
My dad was in by the time we started being born, he was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
He fought in the Korean War in the Army
Mm.
and switched to the Army Air Corps, which eventually became the Air Force. So the Wooten brothers born on Air Force bases all across the country, born on Air Force bases in segregated trailer parks off the base because
Man.
things were still segregated back then. So when we moved to Hawaii, this is after I was born in Ohio. Victor was born 3 years later. I'm 3 years younger than Rudy. So I was born in Ohio. 3 years later, Victor's born in Idaho. And in probably about 1966, we moved to Hawaii. And that's where we started playing. But I started playing just like Victor did on a different instrument, being taught from Reggie. Reggie was, when he was teaching Victor to play at 2, he was teaching me to play at 5. And Reggie being, a model oldest brother trying to figure out what we could do
Hmm.
together that would be fun. And he was already effortlessly playing Roy's ukulele. Like, like I don't have any memories of my brothers learning to play. I just have memories of them being really good. Rudy was a natural on the recorder. The ukulele and the recorder were the two school issued instruments in Hawaii.
Hmm.
Imagine the ukulele, right? Hawaii.
Yeah.
And Roy always had natural rhythm. So Reggie, with the insight, the deep insight of a 10-year-old, looks at, sees Roy beating on these things and Rudy blowing and he's playing the ukulele. If I get Joseph to do this and I get Victor to do that, we could have a band. So, it's sort of like our family was born on two teams. Like there was the older brothers and Victor and I were like the JV squad of the brothers. Well, I like JV Joseph Victor, right? With the JV squad. And we're the younger, but Reggie taught me to play, and he taught Victor to play, and then and really what he did initially, he taught us to join in with how good that he was, and we attached our limited ability to his incredible ability, and it enabled us to play music in a full way right off the bat, as opposed to teaching the way most people teach, which is why very few people stick with it. Okay, sit up straight, you know, don't relax your wrists,
Right.
don't flex your pinky, and right, you already want to be outside playing with your friends.
Right.
So what he did, Reggie said, just hit this one note, ding, 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 ding. He said, you can do that, ding, ding. And I'm like, I'd rather be outside, right? Ding, 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 ding. But then he picks up the ukulele and he's doing and he starts playing the whole song of Midnight Hour, which I loved that stuff. And ding ding ding. And now instead of learning to play, I'm just joining in with complete music, which is much more fun,
Yeah.
much more intriguing, and I was hooked. I was hooked, and he did the same thing with Victor. We initially just learned to join in on what he could do, and then little by little, he started teaching us how to do it. And it felt so good so early, it was irresistible. So there was no forcing us to do this or forcing us to do that. He just let us join in with what he knew was already enjoyable music. He knew what songs we liked, so we learned those, and he was just a good he was just a good teacher, a good mentor. He was really good at it. We wanted to be able to do what he did.
Hmm.
So he was showing us the path there, and that's what we did.
When did you get your first keyboard to play on, or what kind of thing was it?
Well,
Did you have a
there was
piano
a
in
toy
there?
there was a toy piano in the house,
Mm.
right? So we started with the toy, but then the very next day after we did the little thing, we put on a little concert out in the front yard. Roy was really excited. Called my mom, said, "We have a band, we have a band, we have a band." My mom said, "Okay, well, keep practicing because when I see it, when I come home from work, I want you to be good." So she came home and she saw it, and the next day, it must have been on a Friday or something, because the next day there was a big kind of a yard party for the houses on our block.
Hmm.
And there's maybe 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter footage of us out there in the yard, and kids are dancing and all that stuff. And in the beginning, yeah, Victor and I are still just playing one note. Victor at the time was probably just strumming on the beat, but we were joining into this thing that was irresistible.
Hmm.
I already liked music because my mom and my dad liked listening to it. My dad, he used to like the singing groups. Like, I don't remember the name of the artist, but I can. My dad had a, a battery operated portable
Radio,
record player.
a record player. Wow.
Yeah, so we take it in the car, and they go in. We be sitting in the car, and I can remember a song playing. You got your backfield in motion, yeah. I'm gonna have to analyze you. Yoo-hoo, and that two-part harmony. And my dad liked that kind of stuff. He liked the impressions that had Curtis Mayfield and Jerry Butler. He liked that stuff. And my mom, especially on the weekends, you'd wake up and you'd hear Mahalia Jackson
Mhm.
and Nina Simone. She
Mhm.
loved Nina Simone. She loved Mahalia Jackson. So we were already, and then we lived in Hawaii, and there was all kinds of radio playing because all kinds of people lived on the base. So we weren't just listening to black radio. So Reggie could play all of that stuff, and we could join in with him playing all that stuff. So he just used it as the hook, and we started playing that way. When my parents saw that we were serious about it, then each Christmas our instruments got updated a little bit.
Ah,
Rudy's recorder became a plastic saxophone. It was a plastic sax, and he loved it because he could blow more than one note on it. He loved that thing,
mm,
and he could, because if it played the whole scale, he could play anything he heard. And Roy eventually got a little toy drum set, and we got a guitar. Like, I can remember Victor learning to play notes on a detuned acoustic guitar.
mhm.
I remember it was all big for him because Victor's always been little, and the instruments started to get better. But I remember we were too good for those toy instruments. I remember, trying to tape. I remember Roy and them trying to tape up that bass drum head because that little paper toy bass drum head, he was kicking right through it.
Right, right.
So we moved to California in 1968, and in 1970 we played a battle of the bands. Now, the ironic thing, the bass player in the Steve Miller band, we come to find out, my first year on the tour, he was playing guitar, and we were like riding down the highway in somewhere USA in the tour bus, talking about how we grew up. And I was like, "Well, we used to live in just outside of Sacramento, California." He said, "I grew up in Sacramento." I said, "Really?" We started talking about growing up in Sacramento and found out that we played in the same Battle of the Bands in 1970.
Wow.
So there's some pictures of us playing in the Battle of the Bands. But even then, our instruments were still kind of toy instruments. By then, Roy's Roy's drum set was a little bit better. We had a little amplifier and an electric guitar to detune for a bass and a guitar. But my parents realized at that point that we were really serious. And it was my dad who said, if they're gonna take it that serious, we need to get them some serious instruments. So somehow they took out a loan, and hold on one second. This is Roy on the phone. One
Yeah.
second. Hey, brother Roy. Hey, I'm on the phone with I'm on the phone. I'm on this podcast with Jefferson Glassy.
Okay, say hey to Jefferson, and we're gonna see if later on you might be able to do brothers, brother, brother. Come down on the
Okay.
later.
Okay.
All right.
Say hi to Jefferson.
All right. Cool. Talk to you later.
Anyway,
Okay.
Just say hey. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Bye
All right.
bye.
All right. Bye.
Sorry about that, but that's how close we are. But
So,
uh
did you get I mean, a proper sort of keyboards? I'm not sure what they look like in early
yeah, so what we
70s.
did,
And
what they did, they took out a loan. I remember coming home from school. I think they took out a loan and they went and got Reggie out of school to go get instruments. And I remember coming home and in the living room there was two stacks of I think two cabinets of 410s, I believe it was, or two cabinets anyway, and a head for the bass. There was another cabinet and a head for the guitar, plush. The plush cabinets back then they were like the upholstered amps,
mm,
and then there was a custom cabinet for Rudy to blow. It wasn't quite as upholstered as the plush, and then there was an organ, the Vox organ. You'll remember them because they had the black natural notes and the white sharps and flats.
mm,
The colors were reversed,
wow. Huh.
and with the S bar on the side, and so I was playing a real organ at that point, and we had the same kind of PA system. Rudy had gotten a real saxophone at Christmas time, and so we started playing better gigs. We were playing nightclubs, officers' clubs, because my parents were working for the military, and
How old were you then? You were like 8 or something?
I
About?
was 8. Victor was 5. Yeah, we opened for war in 1970 also.
Wow.
So Victor was still in kindergarten. I was 8 years old. Victor signing autographs. He had just learned to write his name. He just signing autographs with this word he just learned to write. But my parents realized that we were doing it, taking it seriously. So they started giving us the tools to take it more seriously. I think there's some footage of my dad basically saying, if they're going to be taking it this serious, then we need to get seriously
Yeah.
behind them. So he bought the gear. The really incredible part of it is that as an adult I understand it more, but as a kid, my parents never really had a weekend off. Like they'd work all week, and then the weekends they go to gigs with us for I don't know, probably a couple decades or something.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's just that's sacrifice. And they were exemplary. They were exemplary parents that didn't have to say a whole lot because most kids learn from their parents by example anyway. So my mom was an exemplary person. She said, if you worry about can you say this word or that word, said don't worry about it. Said if you haven't heard me say it, you don't say it. It's
Mm,
much easier than giving us a list,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
they
I've
just got behind.
heard a lot about your mother from Wooten Woods.
Yeah, yeah.
Big
You
fan.
can't really talk about the Wooten brothers and not
Yeah.
talk about parents and my mom.
But did you take lessons ever? Did you ever take lessons with somebody, or was
After
it just learning yourself and with
after
figuring things
yeah,
out?
we were self-taught in the beginning, but the same way when we realized we're going to be doing it for real, then we started learning to read and write and study with other people. So my biggest study with somebody else was a jazz instructor that my brothers had when they were in college. I was still in high school. Her name was Consuela Lee.
Mm, I've
She was
heard of
Consuela Lee Moorhead back then, and they were studying with her in college. And I was fortunate enough to get some study with her from high school, and she taught me about voicings and some things to learn to elevate my playing. I took one classical lesson, and it was just like you figured it would be. She was, sit up straight, relax your wrists. We're going to start with the A minor scale. And in my head, I'm thinking, I just took a solo with A minor lesson.
it.
You know, I know this scale pretty well. I was burning that thing up last night. And we start da 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 da. You know what I mean? And I took I took one when I realized that wasn't before we got to the part where I wanted to be. It's gonna be like way too long.
Yeah.
So yeah. So have we all had instruction? Yes.
Yeah, and so then the trajectory, because I didn't mention, but you're sort of one of the people in the world who doesn't need any introduction, but you played 30 years with Steve Miller Band. So what between, high school, college era, and then I know you were playing with the Wooten brothers and whatever, but then you end up with Steve Miller Band. How did you get to that point? And that must have been an
Well,
incredible time, 30 years.
well, very, very much so. It's so we started making money in California. Open for War. We opened for Curtis Mayfield as children. In 1972, we moved to Virginia. And in Virginia, we were kind of the big fish in the little pond, right? We were the band that they would always call when the R&B acts would come in, and we were what they would call local support. We were the openers. So we opened for the Temptations and Ramsey Lewis
Oh
and
my
Stephanie
gosh.
Mills and all those people. So in the 80s, we got our record deal because Kashif was a producer, but he was a keyboard player first. And he used to play for Stephanie Mills. So he had seen us a few times opening for Stephanie. And he was like, I think I'm going to get a chance to produce. If I do, I want to produce the brothers. And that's what wound up happening. Our record deal, what should have been the pinnacle of our success, was our biggest challenge because we signed a bad record deal that was much more favorable for the producer, who was also an artist, than it was for the artist. And I won't go into that, but that didn't work out really well. And when the record was finished, you know, 2, 3 years later, with no support from the label, the record kind of died on the vine. The brothers came back to Virginia, and we were actually working at this amusement park, this theme park called Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. Victor and Reggie were playing in the country show, and that's where Victor met the guy that introduced him to Bela Fleck. Roy was playing in the Italian show with me. He was playing in the German Oompa band, learning all of this. I just heard him tell this the other day. He was learning all these jazz strokes that he was working into the music. Come to find out years later that the drummer with the Dave Matthews Band used to come hear this German Oompa band. He'd sit down, have pizza and a beer, wondering who this drummer is, playing all this stuff. And later they become fast friends.
Carter
Eventually,
Carter
Carter
Beauford.
Beauford.
Yeah.
Carter Beauford. Yeah. Eventually, the brothers in all of these different bands, they had us all together playing in the country show one fall season. And I mean, we were we were knocking it out the park, man. We were letting them have it,
Yeah.
not knowing that if one of these days we'd be moving to Nashville, the country music capital of the world. But that went really well. So little by little, we start migrating to Tennessee. Victor gets a call from Bela Fleck. There was a fiddle player that was in the country band that Victor was in that knew Bela Fleck, and basically said to Bela, Bela's trying to put this band together for a special called the Lonesome Pine Special, which was kind of like a Austin City Limits type of show. And he's putting a band together, and this fiddle friend of ours who's since passed away, Kurt Story, says that Bela, the best bass player in the world, lives in Virginia. His name is Victor Wooten. So Bela auditions Victor over the phone. Victor moves to Nashville. He's looking for a drummer. Victor goes, Bela, I got a brother doing some stuff you've never seen before. So Roy moves to Tennessee. There was a guitar competition. They called it the Wang Off Rock Guitar Competition. Victor was going to enter it on bass. And they were like, Victor, you can't enter this contest on bass. This is for guitar players. I want to enter on bass. Victor, you can't enter. So Victor's like, okay, I got a brother. So he called Reggie, who at the time was living in New York. Reggie comes in and wins the competition. So three brothers are in Nashville. Um, there was a woman named Alice Randall who was scoring a movie that was going to be called Mother Dixie, and she needed somebody to sing the title song, and she didn't want one of those country voices. So she asked Victor. Victor was like, "I'm not really the singer, but I've got a brother." So so I came to town and sang it. She loved it. Sang on another song, and she loved it. And I moved to Nashville in 1990. The crazy thing is, when I was coming back to Virginia after singing, that demo, my then girlfriend was waiting to pick me up at the bus station, and I told her how much I liked Nashville. We may want to move at some point, and she was sitting waiting to pick me up in the Datsun 210 and looking for a sign that we. And as I got off the bus, right in the parking space right next to her pulled up a U-Haul truck with Nashville, Tennessee on the side.
No
So I
coincidence.
put, how's that for a sign, right? Hard to miss that one.
Yeah.
But I moved to Nashville in 1990. Got here September the 18th, 1990, and I joined the Steve Miller Band in 1993. I was playing I was playing a recording session for a guy that co-wrote he co-wrote Swingtown and Serenade.
Mm.
His name is Chris McCarty. And I did two sessions with him. My car wasn't working, so I was riding with him. And he told me about the opening in the Steve Miller Band. And in Nashville, everybody is somebody, right? So I sort of blew it off a little bit because I knew that I knew the name Steve Miller, but you know everybody's name in Nashville, right?
Mhm.
So the second day of our sessions, he said, "You should have sent that audition tape yesterday because this is too good of an opportunity. You can make all your money in a couple of months." Da 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 da. So I went and I created an audition tape. I did a funky loop of Abracadabra. I put a synth solo, a piano solo, and an organ solo. I was surviving doing a lot of sound alike work where you sing to sound like other artists for different
Mhm.
reasons.
Mhm.
People that aren't willing to pay the licensing of, the real song. So you go in to sound like somebody else records the music to sound like the record. You go to sing to sound like the record. So I was getting all the R&B and the hip hop. And I had just done an a cappella version of Boys to Men's It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday.
Mhm.
So I knew that the Steve Miller gig was going to require that I sing harmony. So I sent that in so that he would know that I could sing harmony. It's four parts, just me. And then I sent in a clip of me singing with Whitney Houston. There's a song called Thinking About You, and that's me singing, "I keep thinking about you, baby." Right? I sent that so he would know that I had done it professionally, and lo and behold, I got the gig. He called me March the 12th, 1994. I mean, 1993. So that was 23 years ago in March. And yeah, I learned a bunch and have had a lot of fun in those 23 years.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, you all have had such amazing careers and such, unbelievable experiences and knowledge from all that. So, how do you, what was it that kept you going the whole time? Just music was, what is that power of music that grabbed you and that kept you doing this whole time? How do you describe that to people?
Well, it's easy to love music, especially from the stage, right? Music for us, music for the family was a chance for our family to do this thing together that we could see made other people happy. Made us more accomplished. The more accomplished we got, the better that they felt, and that's easy to be attracted to. Like I can understand why a person wants to learn to play guitar. Once you feel what applause feels like,
Mhm.
right? That's easy. What's harder for me to understand is what makes a person want to run to a situation. If there's a head-on collision, they want to be the one to get there. And so, to me, that seems more amazing than somebody who wants the applause.
Mhm.
For us, we just knew that it was fulfilling. There's a quote by Mark Twain says, "The two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day that you find out why." Well, we always knew and were able to live what we knew we were born to do. So even on a day that you would consider a bad gig, maybe nobody shows up or whatever, whatever, we knew that we were doing what we were born to do. We knew that it required discipline. We knew that we were something special in that all the other brother bands needed a band. We loved the Jackson Five. The Jackson Five needed a band to perform in front of. We were the band.
Yeah.
The Isley brothers needed some extra instruments. Uh, the Chambers brothers needed some. The Osmond brothers needed some, and we were the band. And we knew that we were good at what we did. We knew that we were something special. We weren't arrogant with it. My mom made sure of that. That her famous quote about what does the world need with just another great musician? We have plenty of them. We need more good people. We need more
Right.
great people. So we were striving to be great musicians and great people. And if it's easy to stay the course there. We knew that we were doing what we'd be doing for the rest of our lives. Music is how we identified ourselves. But in a larger sense, what makes music so intriguing is that music is the sound and the feeling that we get when we take disorder and we present it to intelligence, which figures it out and gives those components of disorder a beautiful path forward.
Mhm.
I mean, that's even beautiful to say.
Yeah.
But to experience it, it triggers something in us that's innate. We want to be part of that beauty. And music lets you know that you're part of it. You don't know that's what it is, but that's what it is. If I if if I play a beautiful song off the piano, that's easy to feel that beauty. But if I remind you what I make music from, if I press all those keys down, it's a giant calamity, it sounds like. It sounds like a mess. So when you hear music from this mess generator, it something in you recognizes the power of creativity that takes that takes a mess and turns it into your favorite song. That takes it's the same thing kind of when you eat a beautiful piece of fruit. It's taken the nutrition from the poop of a pea of bunch of animals
Yeah.
and through the magic of life has
Yeah.
turned it into this thing that tastes better than anything you could have done yourself. Something inside you recognizes that you're part of something beautiful and powerful. And that's what music is. Music is the sound that's made and the experience that's had when when the mess is made useful by intelligence and creativity.
Yeah. The harmony and coherence, and it's all that
Yes,
strength and power that
yes,
comes
that's
from that.
yeah, and that's life, right? That's life. So through music, we get a chance to experience the essence of life, which is basically taking disorder and giving it life, giving it a path forward, giving it purpose. That's beautiful. That's powerful. We don't have to get that esoteric to enjoy our favorite song, but we get a chance to join in with something profound when we engage with music. I mean, music has all the benefits of winning, brings people together, but nobody has to lose.
Right.
Nobody has to lose.
And so I wanted to also get into something that I think you're really, well, you're drawn to, focused on. We did do a couple other programs together. One is we had a conversation with Lionel Cole and I think Gaya Degbalola about music and race relations at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then right at the beginning of I guess 2020 in the pandemic, we were talking about a concert for democracy. In other words,
Right,
trying to
right.
use the power of music to help, bring more coherence and freedoms and rights in the uh, in the world. And so, I mean, my perception is that you are very focused on, some of the larger issues like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the book that you've written is kind of focused on big picture things. You said at one point about democracy, you said music needs democracy and democracy needs music. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. That's 100%. That's 100% correct. So we use that sort of our tagline. We changed the concert for democracy into concert for humanity because somehow
Mm-hmm.
in all our craziness, democracy gets to be a trigger word somehow.
Right. Uh-huh.
But you also have done these I Matter, You Matter. And do you mind talking a little bit about what sort of drives you, what you feel, about
Okay.
this thing, why it's important maybe for musicians, some musicians anyway, to speak out and talk about what matters?
Yeah, the main thing in life, we should tell our story. Everybody should tell their story. And in doing that, one reason we should do it is because another basic premise of life is that we should be expressive. We should express ourselves. Now, I'm going to remember your initial question because I'm getting ready to go on a little bit of a journey here.
Okay.
But if you look at creation, like our existence here, we're on this planet that orbits the sun. The sun, because it's big, has weight and mass. If you have mass, physics says that you have gravity. So, by virtue of the fact that the sun is here, it has pressure. Large things that want to come in clanging into it. And it keeps it from happening by literally expressing. That's what those explosions are. That sends pressure outward. That keeps these things that would come in and collide with it orbiting around it in order. So the thing that gives the sun a chance to keep doing what it does is it has to continuously express. So when we go to humans, humans need to tell their story. They need to have a way to express themselves. Because if you don't, by virtue of you being here, we're all the center of our events. And it does come with pressure. The fact that you're alive, it comes with pressure. Will be it if you're in school, there's grades, there's reputation, there's responsibilities. If you have a child, the responsibilities grow. There's your job, there's taxes, there's right. And the way that you keep that weight off of you is by knowing who you are. If you know who you are, you'll express it in different ways. And that expression keeps things in balance, just like it does for the sun. When the suns don't live forever. And when they stop burning, they still have the same mass. And all those things that used to orbit around come crashing in. Boom, that's the nebula. Cataclysmic for the sun, entertaining for us. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like life. When a person's life comes crashing in and they do whatever they do when things get out of balance, it's conversation and entertainment for other people, cataclysmic for that person. So it's important for us to know who we are so that we will express it so our lives will stay in balance. Do you see what I mean? So that's what music is. Music is a way, at least especially for the brothers, a way of us knowing who we are and expressing ourselves and keeping things in balance. So when our record deal went terrible, it was kind of at the expense of Rudy's mental health. He took a he took a heavy hit because it was the first time he hadn't been able to play music with his brothers. That was hard for him, right? So he struggled for a while. He was still a good person, though. Never hurt anybody. Right? There were people that were mean to him, but he was such a good person that he never hurt anybody. But it was music that gave us a chance to stay balanced at the worst times of our lives. That what should have been the pinnacle of our success was just the worst time of our lives. And because of the people that my mom and my dad too made sure that we were able to endure it. Like that's when Victor developed a lot of that technique because he wasn't gigging, can't gig. Me and Roy are still in New York, and the three of them are back in Virginia without the drummer, the keyboard player, lead singer. So they all used it to keep developing. They kept with music. It kept giving them a way to express themselves in a way that they knew was right. You know that you're doing what you're born to do, and expression is what keeps things in balance. Just like for the sun, as long as it keeps expressing, everything is in order. For us, music was the same way.
Yeah, I mean, and it does make sense just in life. You think you do this, you do that, you got to get a job, you do, and if all you did was just let all the weight come down on you
Right.
without
But think if you when you
expressing, bringing something from your core out to balance.
that's right. That's right. And that's oftentimes when people express what it feels like with mental illness, they feel like the world is just crashing in on them.
Right.
And ideologically, that's what's happening. By virtue of you being here, there's weight. Nobody is here just without responsibility. Even then, you have to eat, or if you don't have a home, you have to deal with people thinking that you don't belong in whatever the space is. I mean, every life
Right.
has weight, and you counteract it by being able to express it. Is why you being able to express, know who you are, and be able to express. And it's the reason why, like you'll see some homeless people, they're happy as can be. They got it in balance, and some it's the worst days of their life. But it's important. It's important for everybody to be able to know who they are good enough to express it. And that helps to keep things in balance. And that feeds right into music because music is expression.
Right.
Music is expression that takes the components of life that would collide without order and puts them into order. And to be able to experience that in whatever form or fashion is beautiful.
Yeah, I heard Roy say one time, well, when you find your voice, boy, that's it, you know.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly right. The reason is because in this circle of life, in any circle, circles revolve. If things are on that circle, like we're on this revolving planet, we don't go flying off the planet because we're connected to the center. Right. So let's take a look at what the center is. Our planet is made stable by the equator and the polar axis. What is the equator? The equator is a force that is 0% longitude, but it's 100% latitude, right? It's nothing, but it's everything.
Wow.
The polar axis is totally opposite. It's 100% longitude, but it's 0% latitude, where literally, mathematically, zero is equivalent to everything. And where those 2 points meet in the center of the circle is what makes the circle possible. All a circle is a geometric shape that lets you know there's an existence that you can't put your finger on. But here's proof that it's there. You can't put your finger on it because it's nowhere and it's everywhere. Now, that doesn't, as a concept, it doesn't really make sense. But when you think about our life as an experience of numbers, I'm 64 years old. I was born December 15th, 1961. I'm probably about 170 pounds, maybe 168 because I haven't eaten yet. Everything is numbers. But every number is an expression of zero. We don't think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4 is really 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4.
Hmm.
Wherever there's a number, there's a zero that makes that number possible. Zero doesn't need a number to be, zero doesn't need a number to exist, but numbers help zero to be specific.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're here. The only reason we have a chance to do anything is because of zero. I had somebody at the camp one time. I was talking about nothing is everything, and he said he he came up with the term zero is the neverything. I really like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But what we experience are aspects of zero. Zero uses our specificity to express itself in a bunch of different ways. So when we're talking about finding your voice, all of us, zero's in the center of existence. And all of us have our own individual angle towards it, right? We all have our individual angle towards it, but we all express essence from the center of existence, but we all express it our own way.
Right.
And when we find where our point is and can resonate with our connection to this infinite center, then
You're hooked
that's
up.
the reason why that's the reason why somebody who's authentic resonates with everybody, because everybody's origin is that center.
Right.
Not everybody knows their connection to the center, but everybody's connected there. So but when you find and can resonate with individual specific your individual specific relationship to the to the center of creation, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That communication, that whatever that word is, that connection, that conscious connection is powerful. And if I can express myself from there, it resonates with something in you.
Mm.
Because truthfully, every number is zero first. And what we don't recognize is zero is the realest part of the number. Zero is the realest one. The part that we can't see is the realest part. We're busy studying quantities. What does two mean? Well, two is balance. What does three mean? Three is a creation. What is four? Four is form. Right? And we're so busy studying the message of quantity. The realest part of a number is what makes it. If you have four things, what makes those four things stay together? They're in motion. They should fly off and never come back, right? But zero is what gives the things that we can see purpose. See what I mean? Like this doesn't really mean anything. But if I put an intelligent amount of space between them, now this clap has purpose. It doesn't give itself purpose. It's given purpose by the thing that we can't put our finger on. Like we can't put our finger on space, but space is the playground of intelligence. So we can feel space giving it purpose. But what is space? Space is just
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no,
Zero. Well,
yeah, it's
I
yeah.
know in Victor's book, he used like a lot of your concepts about the zeros and space and all. It's
But
very
if you
profound.
to finish this up though,
Yeah.
about finding your voice, the reason it's important because it connects us to that center of creation that's nowhere and everywhere. And we get to suddenly interact with this force that's everywhere. That's why people can feel it, even when they don't understand it. But even right now, we're able to do what we're doing now because zero is holding this planet steady. We don't realize that it's working for us right now, but it is.
Hmm.
Zero keeps creation from being a pile of, it keeps creation from being a pile of creation with no room to operate. Zero is space, so that's opportunity, right? The bully that says, go ahead, man, throw a punch. Nothing between us but space and opportunity. Doesn't realize how
Mm.
profound he is. Zero is the room to operate. Zero is stability. Zero is where we get creativity from. Zero is where we're allowed to put our intelligence. Right? With I do a thing in my motivational speech. I go to the piano and hit all of these notes. They're like, "What are these notes?" And I say, "These are all the notes to the national anthem." Like, why? How come nobody's got their hand over their heart? And the reason is because there's no spaces.
Yeah.
Spaces is what turns a pile of notes into music. The use of space is what turns a mob of people into a civilization also. If we will just put intelligence in the space rather than compete over it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Uh, it's really profound. So you've the the question I was asking was, you say what you talk about the bigger picture, like the I matter, you matter. The you
Yes.
have a nonprofit named that, and you've been doing these social media posts, and I kind of feel in a lot of the trouble that we've been having in recent years that it's musicians they're pretty powerful in what they can do, and when you have a power, it's a responsibility maybe or an obligation to do something about it. And I mean, I really appreciate what you're doing because you're using your platform to remind people about a lot of things. Do you mind talking about the I Matter, You Matter a little bit?
Yeah, I Matter You Matter started from a song that I wrote called I Matter. And I remember it I was watching a movie called Freedom Writers. And and I was the song just started pouring in. So I ran inside really quickly, got a manila folder that I happened to find the other day,
Hmm.
and started writing. And this song wrote itself, all three verses, the chords, in less than 30 minutes, probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Just the
Wow.
song was complete. And the song always connects with people. I was doing a lot of motivational speaking in the city of Buffalo, New York.
Hmm.
And I would always play it for these students. And a lot of the students were underprivileged, and it would always connect with them because the
Hmm.
song is for the one that's not the champion, the one that has been trampled on. Maybe you don't have a home, and your name is unknown. You don't get enough publicity, or you're not the right ethnicity, or maybe you don't know your mother, or not as famous as your brother. This is what you've got to do. See that no one means more than you. And even when you're fed up, you've got to keep your head up and say, I am here, and I matter. And goes on, talks about the struggling single mother, the chemically addicted, the physically constricted, the wrongfully convicted. And it would, especially for people that are going through struggles, it connects with them because very seldom does music speak to them. So I saw the power of the song. The song went to the website. The website went to the foundation. The foundation goes to the concerts. So, I realized I matter is a term that helps people connect themselves to their voice. We talk
Hmm.
about finding your voice. If
Right.
you say that you matter, that means you recognize that you have your specific point of importance, which is the beginning of connecting yourself to that all powerful center, finding, quote unquote, finding yourself. You find the self that connects to everybody else too. And you try to give them the benefit of all of that understanding without them having to understand all the concepts. Do you
Hmm.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
I've studied it a bunch, so I write the song that will help you feel it, even if you don't understand it. And that's what it's about. So from the song to the website to the foundation to the concerts, I do a daily I Matter, You Matter message. I do a daily I Matter, You Matter message. It's just a little bit of positivity that I drip out every day. And it has some days it has thousands of thousands of connections, some days it's just a few hundred. But if you remember that the part that connects to every part of the circle of life is from the center. So what I'm trying to do is donate properly back to the center, knowing that that's where it connects with everybody. It's easy to go, well, I only got 300 views. I only got 400
Yeah.
views. It didn't reach that many people. It doesn't really go like that.
Right.
It doesn't only go linearly in a line like that. Like there are people that have a powerful donation back to the center that makes the whole world a little bit kinder. Not just person to person, but by what we're donating back to the center. And that's pretty much how I go about it. When Maurice White writes when he writes Serpentine Fire, right? Serpentine Fire is all about Kundalini energy that
Right.
is set to go around the spine and connect physical to the spirit like a serpent. Flows up and down like a serpent that's around your spine. That's what the serpentine fire, right? That's where our freedom is, our connection from the physical to the spiritual. So
Mm.
he writes serpentine fire, puts a there's a great beat on it, and people enjoy the benefit of what he knows without having to know it. Da 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 da.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, we all feel the release from that without him having to. He'd probably lose us if he sat down and tried to go. Now this is what I was writing about.
Yeah.
We have the physical, and it connects to the, and it's like a serpent, right? We,
Yeah.
okay, Maurice, appreciate it.
Yeah.
But instead, music helps us to accept the essence of what we need without us having to go through the specifics of it. Because what music is the essence of life as it's supposed to be. We take from this mess and we create something. We give these components that are out of order. We use intelligence and creativity to give them a unique path forward with our stamp on it that you can benefit from. There's no negative side of it. The worst thing that could happen is you don't like it.
Right.
Right? Nobody gets hurt. It's not like baseball where you lose the World Series and one side cheers and the other side walks off with their head hanging
Right.
down. There's
Right.
no negative side. There's no negative side of music. And that's how I go about it. That's what I matter means to me. If you can see that I matter and because I matter you matter too, then I've helped you to find your voice. You feel the connection with me who's found my voice. And if you found yours, you'll help other people to find theirs, whether you know it or not. It's when we don't think that other people matters where the problem is.
Right.
So I don't have to I don't have to go and have an argument with somebody about their politics to get them to connect with what I have because music connects with everybody. Like I about the most about the most direct that I've been like in terms of debating something was after the UFC fight the other night, and the person said that
Oh,
Michelle Obama is a man, right? And I basically just said that we love Michelle Obama. we love their we love their the Obama's grace, and we love how much they love each other. They're scandal free, and I ended it with, and they're not in the Epstein files.
yeah.
And the reason I said it was so they could see the contrast, not to start an argument, but they're for us they're the best for not just for black people, for people that love the Obamas, they're the best of the best, and they're not in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And there was some like one of the reasons that I said it was because I knew that trigger some people to try to delve deeper into the insults. And I also knew that that sort of helps people see the distinction of how not to be, right? Because I'm not going to do that. And the more somebody tries to, the more they reveal how not to be.
And we have had some conversations about, politics, getting in discussions of politics and this and that. But I want to reiterate that what you're doing, I didn't quite realize it was every day that you were doing this, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of,
I just is I just did number 877.
it's remarkable. And I'm not sure it's possible to see every single one of them in your social media feeds, but I see a lot of them. And I watch them
I
because
mean, they're there. There's 877 of them.
yeah,
If you go to, if you check me out at J Wooten Soul on Instagram or Joseph Wooten on TikTok, and then they copy the threads and they copy over to Facebook.
well, what
You
I
know,
think is great is that, I mean, you as a musician, as a very smart and, really thoughtful person, you're putting out there information for everybody and you're doing it every day. And I think it just really matters. And, I wish sort of more people. I mean, Bruce Springsteen puts out songs and he says what he's going to say. And there's a bunch of people out there on the political side and all that. But what you do is really fabulous. It's just one thing that I really admire about what you're doing is just you're saying those things. You're not trying to divide people. You're trying to bring people together,
right.
knowledge and information, and you quote all kinds of different people. And anyway, so it's just great, Joseph. I really
But
appreciate it.
let me add to that. For me, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to do my piece of it, right? I recognize that I have more time. I'm a musician. I'm not a construction worker or I'm not, cutting lawns all day long. I have time. So I try to make the most of my time, knowing that the thing that we need the most is connection. People need connection. So the what was I going to say?
Connection.
People need connection. What as people get this is what I was going to say. As people get more divided politically, way over here, way over there, very few people are in the middle going, I don't really know what side to be on. People are either way over there or way over there. Division is tiring. It's exhausting.
Yes.
And even though people are divided politically, it makes everybody more everybody ready for somebody who can provide an off ramp from the exhausting division. And there's the opportunity. That's the reason that I like to do it because I know that I can connect with every side. I can connect with every side, and it feels good when you have a way to put down this heavy sword and the shield without having to capitulate to somebody else because that's what everybody's afraid of. We're just thinking linearly. We're still playing sports for this
Right.
side to win, that side has to lose. And instead of playing sports, we should be making music, which is giving our differences a path forward, as opposed to deciding which one wins and which one loses. So rather than sitting down with people and trying to give them that lesson, I'll just try to do it. Right? I want to have I want to have a visible conversation with somebody that doesn't agree with me so they can see that we don't have to make each other enemies. I was in a part of a very good conversation about Carmelo Anthony, the kid that stabbed the kid and he got 35 years. But we find out that the witnesses that could corroborate his story never got a chance to testify. And they tell a whole different story than the one that he got convicted from. So it's it's looking like maybe he gets another trial. I don't know, but we were having a very substantive conversation about it, and not everybody felt the same way about it. But we weren't insulting each other and vilifying each other. over it, and I want people to be able to see that
Yeah,
because being divided is exhausting, and there's a way not to
it
be.
totally is. And you're showing people that there are different perspectives. And, I think, gosh, we're all living here on this planet. A lot of things are happening that affect everybody. We should be able to talk about it.
We should
And
be able to, but you can. I don't. Sorry to cut you off,
no, no.
but it's much easier. It's much easier for me to be balanced because my life is pretty balanced. Do you see what I mean? If you live in an unbalanced life, if you're living a life where oftentimes you're the victim of this, or or you feel the victim of this, or the victim of that, you can understand why some people don't feel balanced. And the toughest part of it is being able to understand where somebody comes from, even if you don't agree with them. There's the challenge, right? If you really don't like MAGA, right? You don't like Make America Great Again, and like again, when's again? Like where in the past do people other than white people want to go, right? That's my question. Like where in the past, where does this again apply to? I still have to understand that people who are MAGA, especially people who are extremely MAGA, they're extremely MAGA for a reason that needs understanding. They got there some kind of way.
Mhm.
Or there are people that are just extremely liberal. They got there some kind of way, and we need to understand each other so that we can get ourselves out of it. But if the only people that you can talk to are other people that think like you, well, I can't talk to them. You're part of the problem.
Yeah.
If division is part of the problem and you can't talk to the other side, it's like being in traffic. This traffic is terrible. Well, you're part of that traffic. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's not just them.
Yeah, yeah,
You're one more car on the road, and that's the challenge. That's easier to do by doing it, by letting other people see it done, than by saying you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. Because seldom are we as right as we think we are.
yeah. But you're also showing everybody that we have so many commonalities. I mean, we are
Right.
just, people here on the planet. We have a couple of Planetary Gig Society programs. I go around when I get to travel places like overseas, whatever. I try to find a musician and talk with them about the kind of music they have so
Hmm.
that people can see, wow, we have this kind of music and they have that kind of music. We're kind of the same, you
Yeah,
know?
one of the most powerful things that you can say in a conversation with somebody that doesn't think like you is to finish it up with, you know, I hope you know this doesn't make us enemies. And if you need anything from me, I hope that you will call me.
Yeah.
And I hope that I can call you when it's at that point, mutual respect from people who think differently is like putting a good amount of space, an intelligent amount of space between sounds that are different. It puts them on the beat. If if I drop a chair and cough, those two sounds got nothing to do with each other. But if I put them on the beat, drop, cough, drop, cough, drop, it makes them respect each other's space intelligently. And when we say, "Well, I hope if I need you, I can call you, and I hope you'll call me if you need me," even if you really disagree with that person, that gives you a path forward. That's what music is a path forward.
Yeah.
An argument is we're still playing sports. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sports is entertainment. Sports is a game. Life is more than a game. The only way that a game is beneficial to us is if we learn lessons that go beyond the game. We got to go beyond the game. If you learn fairness and dedication and accountability to your teammates and dignity, whether you win or lose, then the game is good. But too many of us from the game only know winning and losing. I got to get mine, and for me to win, it has to be at your expense. That's a terrible lesson for life. Music makes something that's good for everybody. So to turn that argument, to help change that argument from competition to creativity, finish it with or sustain it with, I know we don't see things the same, but if you need me, call me, and I hope that I can do the same thing with you. That changes things. That changes things. There's that person that does the TED Talk. He's a black, he has a big belly, plays boogie woogie piano, and he had conversations with the then Grand Wizard of the KKK, who over time realized that black people weren't so bad like he thought they were, and he winds up turning in his robe.
Yeah,
Well,
Daryl
this guy
Davis.
has done that hundreds of times.
Daryl
He has
Davis.
hundreds. Daryl,
Davis.
okay, I need to memorize his name. Daryl Davis. But he's shown by putting respect in the space instead of competition that other people, he didn't show them that they were wrong. They learned that they were wrong.
Right.
They learned it on their own. And that's how we do it. Too many of us, that's why politics will never solve it. It doesn't mean that politics is not important. Elections are important. We need to have leaders. But they won't solve it because politicians, a political contest always creates new losers.
Yeah.
We'll never get everybody across the finish line creating new losers. But with music, music has all the benefits of winning without people having to lose. Music is the opposite of sports. Music is a path forward for all the players. It's
Right.
not like these select players get to win at these players' expense. That's not what it is. And if we can finish our discussion with, if you need me, call me, and I hope I can do the same with you. If we can finish there, mutual respect with people is equivalent to sounds that are different that are on the beat.
Right.
It, gi-
Right.
it gives those differences a path forward. To make music with people, it's with mutual respect. That's the equivalent of rhythm.
Yeah. So it's so interesting talking with you and hearing all this, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Where are you going from here? What's on the horizon for
Well, let's
you?
see. The Wooten brothers are going to be playing in the Northeast, I think on the 24th, and we had 24th of this month, we head into Canada, and we're playing there. You can find all of this. You can find on thewootenbrothers.com. Also, we'll be going to Europe this summer. I think we're going to Asia in the fall.
Wow.
Uh, every year I do a birthday slash Christmas concert. This year it will be December the 3rd, even though my birthday's on the 15th. It'll be December the 3rd at 3rd and Lindsley,
Hmm.
the club we help to put on the map one Wednesday night at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be my 65th birthday and also my 10-year wedding anniversary
Great.
in December. So it's going to be a big deal. Um, what
You're
else?
gonna keep doing the I matter, you matter for.
I'm gonna keep doing it. What I'm gonna be pivoting to, there'll be a message every night. Um, it's going to be Mondays will be dedicated to music, music Mondays. We'll either learn music theory or something about musicians. Tuesday will be touring Tuesday. We'll learn about touring, how to be better touring musicians or stories from the road. Wednesday will be Wellness Wednesday. I'll show you how I stay healthy. Thoughtful Thursdays where we'll get deep about something. Friday, I'll do something funny, funny Fridays. Saturday will be I Matter Day. Saturday, I Matter Day. And Sunday will be for songwriters.
Wow,
We'll
man,
talk
that's
about
a
the
lot.
craft. It
That's
is, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing I'm doing now. It'll be more specialized. I don't know that I'll be able to do it and the new social media and the new iMatter
yeah, yeah,
every day, but I will still have some of those.
yeah.
But
Well,
again, just drip, 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 dripping some more positivity and some more goodness into the world and into the center, knowing that the center applies to everybody.
wow. Well, that's amazing, Joseph. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk about all this and all the things that you do. It continues to inspire me, to keep doing these things and doing what I'm trying to do. And just again, thanks to you and Victor and Roy and Reggie for all that you've done for humanity. Your mom had some good,
She did.
thoughts
She did.
and directions for you all, and it really has paid off. And there's so many people who appreciate that.
Well, you're doing a good thing, Jefferson. The main thing to remember is is don't be so concerned with the numbers, right? Because the numbers apply out here, but the essence of the quality of the circle of life, it's from the center. Keep feeding the center with the right thing, and all of us benefit,
Yeah,
whether we know it or not.
yeah, I don't worry too much about the numbers. I would have stopped a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good realization. My mom used to say about being successful. She said she would say, "You guys are already successful because you're doing things the right way. You're already successful. Other people just don't know it yet. And sometimes your success, other people don't find out about, but they still benefit from, because the quality of your person increases the quality of this whole existence that we're participating in, whether we know it or not.
Yep, I believe that.
Whether we know it or not.
All right, so thanks very much, Joseph Wooten. Appreciate it, and I'm very proud to have you on this 150th podcast, and we'll see how many we can keep going. I don't do them as often as I used to, but it's just fabulous. So thank you.
Yeah, what you're doing is powerful. We're not the only ones having this conversation.
Yeah.
So we just keep feeding it, knowing that it works.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Jefferson. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.